Kia ora. Tēnā rā koutou katoa. Tēnei au e tūnei ki te mihi atu, ki Ngāi Tahu, ki ngā tangata i mihi mai ki a mātou i te ata nei, tēnā hoki tātou katoa. Everybody, thank you very much for your kōrero this morning. It's been fabulous. I've really enjoyed it. My name's Tamara Mutu, and I'm from Ngāi Tahu, around this rohe. I'm from Te Mutu, from Tuahuriri, from Kokorarata, and also from the deep south. But I'm actually here to talk about my dad's side of the family. So my dad's side, we're from Rotorua, and that's where I work. I work at Scion. So my name badge says that I'm from Scion, but everything I say here is not Scion. My job at Scion is actually really important, and it's a new type of role. Scion have employed me to be their partnerships person with our 3 hapu who live and have lived on the area where Scion works in Rotorua. So the Scion campus has got 3 hapu that have always traditionally been in that area, and my job is to try to connect our whānau with Scion. So I thought I'd better explain that because one of my key messages today is it's really critical to be able to connect with the tangata whenua of the places where you live and where you work, and all those places where you're thinking about your urban forests, because everywhere in Aotearoa there are hapu, there are tangata whenua who are connected to those areas. There are people who have been there for hundreds and hundreds of years. So one of my main messages here today is to build those relationships with those people, bring them into your conversations early, and make the space for them to be involved, so you can do all your awesome urban forestry work. I have to explain, I was a little bit confused why I was put in this session, the challenges and opportunities session for urban forests, and I thought, I don't know if I like that. I don't see myself as a challenge. I got them to add opportunities because I think it's an awesome opportunity to be able to work properly with your tangata whenua. So my messages here today are hopefully going to help address some of the challenges that I know everyone faces around the motu about how to engage properly with tangata whenua. And for us as a tangata whenua, it's about thinking about the opportunities that we also have to be in this urban forestry space. To be able to do this though, I can't really go anywhere without explaining how we look at urban forests. I bothered the conference organisers with heaps of questions. So I'm like, what's an urban forest? It's probably the same sort of questions Becky had. Why don't you just call it bush? What are you guys all talking about? What's an urban forest? So who are the people in this room? Because it's such different language from how we think about things. When we think about the whenua and the ngahere, we think about whakapapa. So we think about our genealogy. We think about our ancestral relationships back to Ranginui and Papa Tuanuku. And we remember that that's where we come from, in this huge whakapapa over many, many generations, right back to the land itself and all the environment around us. So trying to carve out a little bit of that whole complex perspective into an urban forest aspect has been quite challenging for me when thinking about how to approach today. But I thought I needed to share that this is how we look at the world. We don't think about this particular urban forest. We think about our full, huge relationship to the whole environment, to all aspects of it, and the massive history that we're obliged to continue and look after and try to improve for our mokopuna. So we look at our whanaunga. We don't think about the environment as the resources. We don't think about the particular land blocks or parcels. It's all whenua. And for us, whenua is land, but it's also the placenta. That's the other meaning of whenua. So when we think about our whenua, we think about where we come from and where we have always been. And those obligations that pass on over many generations are critical for us. At the bottom there, the smallest, littlest line, it says not anthropocentric. I really wanted to stress that when we think about whenua and ngahere and rākau, we're not thinking about ecosystem services, we're not thinking about environmental services to assist in our way of life. We're thinking about our obligations. We think about the rākau as our relations. They are our older siblings, and we have intergenerational obligations to look after them and their intrinsic, inherent importance for themselves. In terms of tangata whenua, this is one of my main messages. When you're working in this space, find the right people to talk to. So in my mihi, I explained my whakapapa to Ngāi Tahu, but I'm not the right person to speak about this area. I'm not the haukainga, I'm not the people that live here today. I live in Rotorua now, so find the right people. It's not just who legally owns the land either. They might be a Māori land trust, but they might not be the people living on the land, the ones who have the kōrero, the history, the ahi kā, the people who keep the fires alight still. Find the right people. And also understand that not every Māori group is the same. We're not homogenous. We all have hugely different histories from pre-colonisation, way back to the beginning of time. We each have different kōrero in our hapu and iwi about our histories and how things came to be. We don't have the same tikanga, we don't have the same traditions and kawa. So everywhere you go, you will have to make new relationships, and it takes a lot of time. But don't rush it. Be genuine and understand also that your priorities, your KPIs, your work programs are not necessarily the same priorities for Māori. We have lots of other things to juggle as well, but bring us into your kōrero early, with respect, with resourcing. A lot of our people don't have resourcing to engage in these spaces. Where I come from, we haven't got a treaty settlement yet, so we don't have an environmental team. We don't have iwi environmental management plans. We don't have a phone number you can pick up and call to say, I'd like to consult with you about an urban forest. It will take time to build those relationships, and it needs to be done with a lot of respect and a lot of understanding that people are giving up their time after school, after work, between other hui, to come and engage in your kaupapa. And this is because it's important for us to protect our tūranga waiwai, the land that we stand on. Understand the history and those aspirations of those people. Be aware that that history most often comes with a long history of dispossession, as the maps that were shown to you this morning show, and the huge land loss. So when we talk about our aspirations for urban forestry, we're looking at it within the lens of what used to be. And the discussion this morning, the explanation about pūtaringa Mutu and the huge cultural importance it has here as a last remnant of native bush, that's something we don't have. Where I come from, we don't have any native bush. So take time to understand those aspirations. For me, I'm not interested in any more exotic forests. This is where I come from. Richard showed you the photos before lunch. That's our land covered in pine trees, our maunga that we haven't been able to access for over 100 years because it's been locked up in pine by the Crown. That's our urban forest, and I don't want any more of it. I want a place where my children and our mokos can see the native bush that used to be there, the flowers, the trees, the flora and fauna that used to exist but now have gone, the life that was in the waterways that are now gone. That's my aspiration. So thinking beyond urban forestry into what it could be in the future. So in conclusion, my challenge to you is don't just consult with your tangata whenua. Give them the opportunity to lead the process. They might come up with a very, very different aspiration and future of what an urban forest could look like. What I've talked to you about today is really just how to consult nicely with Māori. That's not what we want. That might just help you do your job a bit better. Our big challenge to you is help us to be at the table, to set the decisions, to re-establish the Māori for the land. Kia ora.